And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger and roll, Atlantis.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. Off. It's orange!
145! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
The methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You read? We don't need any more of these.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another NSF live stream from right here on the Space Coast of Florida. Well, actually, technically, it's morning now here. It is just past midnight, but good morning, everybody. You are currently taking a live look over at LC-39A at the Kennedy Space Center, where SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket is poised to launch the Starlink Group 12-17 mission, hopefully in just under 1 hour's time. Take two, because those of you who will recall and who were with us last night, you will know that they tried to launch last night, and for reasons still unknown to us, they had to call off the attempt at the very end of the window, and here we are again at the very end of tonight's window. But nevertheless, we are going to push ahead, and hopefully they can get this rocket off of the ground tonight. Seeing a bunch of 5x5s in chat, we are off to a great start, y'all. My name is Max Evans. I am a spaceflight photographer here at NSF, and I will be your host for this evening's stream. But of course, I am not alone tonight, and I am joined by a couple of very talented and very intelligent people, the first of which being Mr. Sawyer Rosenstein. Sawyer, how are you?
Me? Talented? Intelligent? Oh, shucks, Max. Thank you. I'm doing good here. It's always great being live with the Cape team for a Cape launch, and hopefully we actually get a launch in 56 minutes and 5 seconds from now.
Fingers crossed the weather plays ball and we can get Falcon 9 off the ground. But also joining us from the field is the one and only D Wise. D, how are you?
I am doing pretty well. Looking forward to seeing this thing fly. It was a late night last night. Looking forward to watching these satellites get launched off the ground.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a late night last night, and it looks like we are in for another one. But hopefully we can get Falcon 9 off the ground again, and it will be worth our while, and we won't have to report on a scrub to everybody. Oh, no, I just said the word. Oh, dear, I just said the word.
You're not the first to say it today.
We can't
That
play
was-
Jack now.
I know, that was actually not intentional, I promise. But before we get sidetracked, I also want to thank the one and only Kevin Michael Reed behind the scenes, pushing the buttons and pulling the levers and making the stream work for everyone to watch. But just as a reminder for everybody, you got some music there, Kevin? Just getting randomly played out there?
Played off.
I did say, I said the S word, and I almost forgot to mention you at the opening of the stream again. But we've gotten past that now. But just as a reminder for everyone, if you have any questions in the chat, please feel free to tag us at NASA Spaceflight in chat, and we will get to your questions as they come in, and we will hopefully answer them as best as we can. But first and foremost, Sawyer, we have Falcon 9 out at LC-39A tonight. What is this mission, and where is it going?
Absolutely. So yes, this mission is the Starlink 12-17 mission, and a rare Starlink from LC-39A, as you can see on your screen, rather than Space Launch Complex 40. So for those wondering, on board this one, we have 21 Starlink V2 mini satellites, of which 8 are the regular run-of-the-mill, shall we say, V2 mini satellites, while as there are 13 of the direct-to-cell specific ones. So those are the ones that have slightly different antenna, and that will be used to help provide internet to cell providers here on Earth, I believe, as I was saying last night, T-Mobile has already started their beta testing program of using those now.
Okay, well, I'm muted. Yes, and Sawyer, Falcon 9 is heading off on a southeast trajectory tonight, isn't it?
Yes, it is. This one is going southeasterly, as is traditional for what we see here for these Group 12 missions. And again, a reminder, the groups are kind of end up defining where they go into one of a bunch of shells that are located around the Earth with different types of satellites. So this is a Group 12 launch, and this was the 17th slated launch inside Group 12. It doesn't mean that it's actually the 17th, but the 17th one that was slated. So that's why this is Mission 12-17.
Yeah, one thing we've learned pretty quickly about Starlinks is that, at least in terms of how they are named and assigned, it isn't exactly always in order, and we just have learned to just roll with the punches and just call them out as they come. But to be more precise, Falcon 9 is launching on a southeastern trajectory on a 43-degree inclination heading just north of the Bahamas. The booster flying tonight is B-1083, and this will hopefully be its 10th flight in just over 50 minutes. And actually, yesterday, Alex pointed out the fact that B-1083 is the 19th booster to reach 10 flights or more in all of the Block 5 Falcon 9 boosters that have flown. This is the 19th to reach the 10 flight milestone. So a remarkable milestone, I have to say, considering even just 3 to 4 years ago, a booster flying 10 times alone seemed like they were pushing like the ragged edge, and we weren't exactly sure if the first stage boosters could handle all that flight time and all that abuse of just from all the forces that first stage boosters go through, both on the way up and on the way down. But after it is finished with the launch phase of flight, it will hopefully be meeting the drone ship a short fall of gravitas, about 600 kilometers in change downrange, and a bit farther than that is the fairing recovery ship Doug, aiding in picking those fairings out of the ocean. All right, Sawyer. So as you can see on the screen, would you mind going? Oh, it just went away. No, we were just going to go through the flight history. So Sawyer, walk us through what this booster has seen so far.
That's all right. I've got the history up here as well, courtesy of the Next Spaceflight app and nextspaceflight.com, now with trajectories. We have starting off its life with a crew flight with SpaceX Crew 8, followed by Starlink 6-48, 6-56, then the historic Polaris Dawn mission as well, which you may remember, the first private spacewalk there with Jared Isaacman. And then we had CRS-31 to the space station, Starlink 6-65, then we had the Astranis mission from One to Many. We had another Starlink, Group 13-1, and then we had the Nova C lunar sideways lander, and now Group 12-17. And this is its third launch from historic Launch Complex 39A, which is extra significant tonight because this isn't your ordinary launch day. For those who are unaware, April 12th is International Spaceflight Day because on this day in 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first person to fly in space, and on this day in 1981, from this exact launch pad, Space Shuttle Columbia lifted off on STS-1, the first ever space shuttle flight.
That seems like so long ago, but also at the same time, just with the pace of everything and how everything has moved, it seems like somehow last week. And granted, like you and I, we're not around for STS-1, but for some reason, because of just how intense all this has been, it almost feels like we can reach out into history and touch just the area, or just I guess the time period of STS-1. It feels really strange, but that is quite the coincidence, I guess.
Yeah, and that is the same fixed service structure on the screen there from STS-1 now being used for next to a Starlink flight here for the booster's 10th flight, the 19th booster to fly 10 times now. Home of the reusable space shuttle and now the reusable Falcon.
And many of them as well.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to go through some support really quickly because a bunch of you came in pre-stream, and I want to make sure we can thank everyone that we possibly can. Starting out with Reese Jones becoming a Red Team member before we're going live. Reese, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate your support. Followed by, is that Klaus or Klaus Jan Jongsma? Forgive me. But also becoming a Capcom member as well before going live. Thank you very much. Bitter Barista, a bit of a bitter name. Also becoming a Capcom member, upgrading to Capcom as well. And also, as a reminder for those of you who are part of our YouTube memberships, Capcom and Above gets you full access to our NSF Discord, where you can mingle and talk with everyone on the team, as well as a number of spaceflight enthusiasts to talk about any variety of topics, but not just limited to spaceflight. There is a gaming channel, cooking, a whole bunch of stuff. So that is where all of it happens. Oh, go ahead, Sawyer.
I was going to say, spaceflight enthusiast Ryan Caton's here.
Oh, gosh. Ryan is not here. It's just you, me, and Dee tonight, and Kevin, of course.
For those who don't know, we've joked that he was called a spaceflight enthusiast in an article, and that is, in fact, his name in the members' Discord. So
it is.
ping him
It
in the
has.
Discord because he'll totally love that now at his 5 a.m. time.
It has stuck, and it is never leaving. Stumble Outdoors becoming a Capcom member. Stumble Outdoors, thank you very much. We see you. Oh, this is a wonderful name. New Glenny upgrading to being a Red Team member. That is a Jack. Is that Jack's like secret account? It must be. It's got to be. Echo Deal coming in with a $2 super chat. Just remember, don't wash your rocket. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to wash off all the soot off Falcon 9, so probably best to not wash your rocket indeed. Ethereal Swordsman coming in with a $5 tip, asking, I was going to ask what the weirdest currently flying rocket is, but that's just the GSLV Mark II, so what do you think is the coolest weird rocket? Or odd rock, as we like to call them. I'm going to go around the horn on this one, Sawyer, and I'm going to start with you. What is the weirdest rocket currently flying, you think?
Oh, geez. I think it might have to be, I forget if it's H-2B or H-3, the Japanese rocket that does the absolutely insane dog leg after it takes off every time. And I don't know how it has the power to do it, but it just turns a sharp 90-degree angle and you can see it in the plume behind it. I just find that so crazy to watch. It's not, the rocket itself isn't, but the trajectory that it takes is.
Yeah, and you can see that on their streams as it pitches, I think it's about 90 degrees sideways to perform like one of the most intense dogleg maneuvers there possibly has ever existed in the history of spaceflight. But yeah, that is the H3. D, what about you?
Been trying to think of my answer to this. I like the Minotaur banana peel type. I think that stuff's really weird, but really cool. But weird rockets. I don't think there are. I don't know if I would qualify too many of the rockets currently flying as all that weird.
There have certainly been a lot of weird ones in the past, and maybe we can go over that in a minute. But first, I think it's worth pointing out that on the left side of your screen right now is the almost and nearly complete water-cooled flame diverter destined for the flame trench at Pad B in Starbase. We've been waiting for this for quite a while, and finally, it is heading back out. It is heading to the launch site over in Starbase at Pad B, where it will hopefully be going into the flame trench rather sooner than later. And hopefully we can see some testing as they test its water-cooled system as well. Very neat. What thing? The flame trench?
He said the thing again.
He said it
again. Wait,
I was thinking it was just modern art rolling down the street. No.
Ooh. Is that a diss, Kevin, or is that a compliment?
I mean, both, right?
I would love to hear your logic behind that. Elaborate.
I can't. It's too late. It's past my bedtime. I'm old.
Man, if only we had pictures of what the flame trench at LC-39A is at currently, because soon we'll be seeing something like this happening at the Kennedy Space Center on the right side of your screen. Man, if only we could get an update on that soon, huh, Max?
Sawyer, it's funny you mentioned that, because I think there were a couple of people who went up in a helicopter today here on the Space Coast to get a look at what was happening at LC-39A and other launch pads here at the Cape. So stay tuned to our YouTube channel next week, where our upcoming Space Coast flyover video is going to be released. If you are, on the left side of your screen, that is a teaser image of what there were. I'll be honest with you guys. It was about a 45-minute flight, and I snapped alone about 1,000 photos, and I think I was only able to. I think I finished just over 110. Like that's how often, like that's how much we end up shooting on these flyovers. Like it's full on spray and pray, point your camera, expose correctly, and just see what you get. But today was a good one. Today was a really good one. And if you are a member of our YouTube channel, you actually will get early access to all of the photos released over the weekend as the one and only Burgundy decides to release them. So all the more reason to join us on YouTube and check out all the cool stuff that we do. And I understand that we are also long overdue to do a Space Coast flyover. It's been a couple of months, but trust us, this one is going to 100% be worth it. Oh, also, this photo was taken by Jack Bayer, Jack Bagel, Jack Bale.
Definitely not Bagel.
Yeah, it's not bagel.
Definitely
Those
not
are real
bagel.
bagels.
These photos were taken by Jack also this afternoon because we opted to fly at just about the same time. And these photos are going to be released and more on the upcoming Starbase update on Monday evening. D, give us a quick sit rep on the weather situation here at the Cape, getting back on topic. We are currently sitting at just over T-minus 40 minutes in the count. How is the weather playing ball tonight?
Well, it's been a little bit of a back and forth. Actually, at this moment, a little bit of rain is starting. So the 45th Weather Squadron will always be putting out these launch mission forecasts. And so their forecast shows a 40% probability of violation, with the risks being the thick cloud layer rule, cumulus clouds rule, and liftoff winds, and we've definitely been feeling the winds picking up here. But the other thing worth keeping an eye on is a little bit of a storm system that's making its way over Florida right now that is just starting to reach here and is predicted to sort of be right over the Cape around the time they're targeting to launch. So we will have to wait and see, but you never know. They can thread the needle. It's a shockingly clear night. It was a really clear night up to this point, but we're just getting in a bit of those winds and clouds and now some of that precipitation. So nothing to do but wait at this point and see if they can get off the ground.
And we may or may not have to wait that much longer because we are coming up on the T-minus 38 minute poll where the SpaceX launch director will digitally poll all the systems both on the ground and on the vehicle to see if all systems are go for vehicle propellant load. Sawyer, after that, what are we looking at timeline-wise?
So, time-wise, hopefully we get the go for the propellant load. And if we do, at T-minus 35 minutes, that is when they will start loading propellants both into the first stage and the second stage. The first stage will get the liquid oxygen as well as RP1, rocket propellant 1, refined form of kerosene. Meanwhile, the second stage will start with the RP1. That will continue until T-minus 20 minutes and 20 seconds, as of course we will tell by the best vent, the T-minus 20 minute, 20 second vent. At which point they will chill down the lines to start loading up the liquid oxygen. So once the RP1 load is complete, 4 minutes later, we should see LOX load begin, and hopefully that will continue the countdown towards an on-time liftoff in 40 minutes.
Indeed. And also, with this being a rare launch out of LC-39A, all of our cameras are in a much better position to be on the lookout for any sort of frost or venting coming from either the vehicle or any of its ground-to-surface equipment, or GSE for short. So assuming they are going for propellant load in just a few minutes, we will hopefully be seeing the first signs of frost at around T-minus 33 minutes. D, I see in the back channel you are not invoking a ton of confidence. Why is that?
You know, I'm just I pulled up the radar again, and it is the storm system. It's not like a crazy storm system or anything, but it is getting closer and closer. The rain is starting to pick up a bit, and there are a lot of different weather rules that they have to follow for all of this. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, like the cumulus cloud rule, there are also it's a fun one to say, the tribo electrification rule, which is basically like making sure the rocket doesn't form its own lightning as it's launching, going through precipitation and the like. There was some lightning out over the water earlier, but I don't see any lightning at the moment. And so they normally have about a 10 uh 10-mile radius where they can't have connected clouds that even if the lightning isn't within that radius, like any connected clouds can't have any of that lightning either. So, you know, maybe I've jinxed it in the other way by a little bit of my negativity here. Uh, but we are sort of keeping cameras safe at the moment and keeping an eye on this rocket because I really hope to see this thing fly.
Yeah. It looks like we just had one of our port cameras aimed at LC-36, and a cargo ship was just passing through. But I did see a few flashes of lightning in the background, so there definitely is weather in the area. And I'm seeing some rain beginning to fall on the window in front of me here at the hut at the KSC press site. So weather is not looking ideal, but honestly, I wouldn't put it past SpaceX to try. They have certainly launched in worse conditions. May I remind you all of what happened with From 2 not that long ago, in that it was storming profusely just 4 or 5 hours, not even before launch, and they still flew anyway. But unfortunately, with the window that we have to work with, we are right at the end of a 4-hour launch window that SpaceX had to work with tonight. It opened at 9:15 p.m. Eastern and closes at 1:15 p.m. Eastern. So it's not like they can push and try to wait for this weather to pass. If they are not going for a prop load, which actually that poll should have happened just over a minute ago, if they are not going to proceed into prop load in a few minutes, they are going to have to call off the launch for tonight. But we have not seen or heard anything of the sort, so we will wait to see what signs may or may not come. But at the moment, we are going to push on and see what SpaceX opts to do. Let's get through a few questions here. Ooh, this is actually kind of a deep one. From John Cook at NASA Spaceflight. How many launches have you seen or streamed, and what is the most memorable one? I'm going to go around the horn. Sawyer, kick it off.
Define how seen or streamed, because I mean, streamed, I've watched almost every single launch that's happened since STS-118. In person, I'm a little over 70. I know you guys both have me beat on that. Sheesh, most memorable. I think for me, it's got to be STS-135. I mean, it was the final space shuttle launch. The entire press site was jam-packed. The excitement was palpable, even with the gray skies. It was kind of like an omen of the uncertain future of what was to come for NASA and spaceflight. It was the gray skies. It felt like a gray future. And then seeing that farewell, the patriotism, the swarms of people on the Space Coast, not knowing if those people would ever return, which thank goodness spaceflight picked up and they did. It was just so memorable.
Not a bad answer. What about you, D?
Not bad.
What launch or launches stick out to you the most that you've seen?
Yeah, so I've seen probably, I mean, I don't have a good track of it, unfortunately. I need to spend the time and get an exact count, but nearing 300 at this point, I think, which is like wild to me. First, so two missions that stick out for not quite so positive reasons, but they were very, very memorable experiences nonetheless. USSF 44 and NROL 44.
Yeah.
NROL 44
No,
was
boy.
a Delta IV Heavy that was just months and months and months of delays before it finally launched. But once it did, it was absolutely gorgeous. And the amount of effort that went into covering that made it a really good launch in the end. And then USSF 44 was a Falcon Heavy. It was my first Falcon Heavy. And it wasn't the first one I saw, though, because it was
yes,
quite foggy to the extent like we could not see the VAB from the press site. It was the foggiest day you can imagine yet they managed to launch it. Speak of SpaceX managing to launch when conditions aren't necessarily ideal, that one they certainly threaded the needle, and a couple people got like 1 or 2 photos when it was high up in the sky and clear through the fog, but those ones, as rough as they were in the moment, stand out to me as just like they were memorable. They were really, really memorable.
They certainly were memorable.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
the 44 were something. Yeah.
the 44s were definitely something. Just on my end, boy, I want to say I'm going to name 3 launches off of the top of my head, and I'll spare any major elaboration just for time's sake. But the first one that comes to mind is Artemis 1. A months and months long campaign once since the vehicle first rolled out fully stacked for testing, and when it finally launched, it was one of the most spectacular things I've ever seen personally, and it will be sticking with me for quite a while. Also, Sawyer, I watched that one right next to you, so if that was a bit of foreshadowing, I don't know what could have been.
For which one?
Artemis 1.
Oh, for that. Yes. That
Artemis
was cool
1.
up on the hill there.
Yes. And then for the other 2, I'm going to say Starship Flight 1, just because of how crazy pandemonious Flight 1 was. Just to finally see Starship, a full stack Starship vehicle, fly, as chaotic as it was, just seeing it get off the ground for the first time was spectacular. And then Flight 2, I think, is up there with one of my favorites. Simply for the fact that we saw a full stack Starship vehicle work almost as it was entirely supposed to for the first time, and in gorgeous sunrise conditions as well. Starship Flight 5 is in a league of its own, and everyone knows why. That is at the top of a lot of people's lists, including mine, but those 3 in particular stick out to me quite a bit. All right, so everyone keep your eyes peeled on the bottom of the TE and the LOX tank. Oh, do I see frost on the bottom of the LOX tank there, or am I crazy? It's a very thin white line. Sawyer, do you see that?
I'm zooming it in. It looks like maybe, but if so, it's very faint right now.
Yeah, I mean, we still are early in that prop loading process, even though we are seeing some venting coming from the base of the TE. We were seeing that a few hours ago as they were, I'm sure, conditioning or testing some other lines around the vehicle. So keep your eyes peeled. I almost want to say, I want to say I see frost, but maybe my eyes are just playing tricks on me. It would not be the first time. But we are in, we should be in the time window of being able to see it or not. But we will find out in a few minutes. If we don't see it, then I think the answer is pretty obvious if it's going to launch tonight or not.
It doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's just one of the lines that we're used to seeing on that portion of the booster. But again, my eyes are peeled, are almost touching the screen right now. Looking,
Yeah,
I'm going to be blind in a couple of years for it.
Yep, our faces are just absolutely just like sticking to our screens at the moment. Oh, shoot. Looks like we got some updates in the back channel. It looks like SpaceX's live stream before the launch has been postponed to tomorrow, April 12th at 8:46 p.m. So, everyone, ladies and gents, that means that they are unfortunately going to stand it down from the launch tonight, presumably because of the weather. That is the most obvious factor at play here on Florida Space Coast and here at the Kennedy Space Center. But, well, you know what? That is how the ball rolls sometimes, and that is just the nature of the game we play. And we will hopefully be coming back tomorrow and trying again to get Falcon 9 off the ground. So with that, I think we are going to quickly wrap up coverage and get everyone home because it has been a very long night. First and foremost, Sawyer Rosenstein, thank you very much for coming to hang out with us tonight. We greatly appreciate your voice.
Oh, absolutely. I wish it was for an actual launch this time, but any chance to hang with all of you, I love it. Thanks.
Absolutely. And D-Wise also rolling out with us with a ton of gear, aiming to track tonight's launch. Obviously not the case, but the effort is there nonetheless. D, thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Of course, scrubs happen. Scrubs are better than ruds. And it was a good evening nonetheless.
Indeed. As Das likes to say, it is better to be on the ground wishing you were in space rather than in space wishing you were on the ground. My name is Max Evans. I am a spaceflight photographer here at NSF, and I have been your host for tonight. And also behind the scenes, pushing the buttons and pulling the levers, making the stream work its own magic, is the one and only Kevin Michael Reed. Man, this is just part of the game we play, and we will hopefully see you guys tomorrow night for the next attempt. Peace.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, roger, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Fighting downside FD off. Bring in FD off. It's orange! Orange 25! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Décollage.
Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?